is our, I think, third session on third roundtable. We have been doing, some of these sessions in the past, and I'm so happy that we have, solid panel here to talk through some of the issues we have, seen, and the changes which have been going in the real estate market, overall. And so today, we have got a mix of panelists. We have the representation from the real estate industry in terms of the folks who build the stuff. We have folks who are helping in the customer acquisition, customer experience side. We have people who are building technology to enable some of the real estate businesses. And then we have consulting folks who are basically who've seen the real estate sector from the top, from the bottom, and have looked at the processes and have done transformations for multiple developers in the past, and would love to have all this point of view here today for all of us to deep dive into it. So I before I sort of the questions are all there with me here, but I'd like to sort of start with Manish, right? Manish, the real estate business have gone through multiple changes, and I was talking to a friend when this whole COVID thing hit. I said, look, the travel has felt some of these issues for the first time in recent past 10-15 years. But look, real estate is used to going ups and downs, right? I mean, real estate guys are solid, right? 2007 doesn't matter, 2011 no problem, 2015, 16 no problem. Like, you have been through all of this. I thought the real estate will be the toughest guy who can withstand all of this, right? And so tell us about what's kind of going on in your sector. What have you seen, and do you see anything different in the slowdown, or is it getting better? Like educate us on your observation, Manish, on how you see this whole COVID and the problems or the opportunities which are getting presented in this scenario.
Sure. First thing, Nilesh, thanks for having me here. Now, a couple of things. I'll just make a long story short and run you through the whole thing. So previously, if we see, real estate was only a reference-based business, where one person will build and then the family joins and then you give the houses and that's how you grow. So the industry have come too far. I mean, now things are regularized. Everything is like in place. There are a lot of things you can do online, figure out the property. The filters are amazing nowadays. So basically, it's getting there, but undoubtedly, as we know, it's a very valuable product which someone buys in their whole lifetime. It has a lot of emotional value. All those things are also attached with real estate. Likewise, you say, yes, we like real estate in past have seen a lot of things, a lot of ups and downs, but the beauty is they are still standing, and standing really, really well.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, I really give the credit to all the consumers. I mean, regardless of what happened in the past, in fact, the demonetization, everybody thought the real estate will go down. Somehow I always, tell the end users, don't look at it from the perspective of if something has happened, something will go down. Look at the population we have. Look at the number of houses are required.
In my recent history, it has never gone down, man. I mean, I don't know if anybody saw prices going down. I have not seen it. I mean, it never goes down.
Indeed. So I'll give you another aspect to it. I say previously, a lot of people, they may not have great houses. Today, if you see, I mean, thankfully, we can see people living a better life. The houses are comparatively better. It's available. You can do comparisons. I mean, how people do comparison for an iPhone or a Samsung phone. I mean, you can do that sort of comparison for real estate. People nowadays, end user, they know about which layouts are good for me, which amenities do I really need. All these things previously were not available.
So Manish, when you look at this thing, right? So between before March and now, what has changed in the way customer approaches you? Like what's that difference you have seen? And so can you give us a sense of that, or what have you observed?
There are a couple of things. I would start with, undoubtedly people are scared, right? But that doesn't mean they don't need a house. Now, if I go back into the consumer psychology, what exactly happened, why you are buying a house, undoubtedly, to be more comfortable, more productive. There are 100 million reasons, for it. So the person who has a need of it will definitely take a house. I understand investor may not be that interested. Investor will say it's okay, let's wait for a year or two and let the market bounce back and then we will decide. Or probably investor will say it's okay, this is the right time for me. I might get an underwriting or a better pricing or a price relaxation or finance relaxation schemes and this and that. So there are a lot of aspects, but at the end of the day, if you see end user, yes, they are scared. My turnaround time have increased. However, I won't say the demand has drastically gone down.
Okay, got it. So let me just pause here and get Chaitanya here and just take a one step back. And so what we heard from Manish is, there is some demand destruction to some extent, right? So 2 points, Chaitanya, for you. First is, to what extent have you seen, and if you can just give us a sense of which segments are more impacted versus which are not as impacted, A, right? And B, what's your given your experience in the segment, right? Several years you have seen this pan out. How do you see the next 12 months, if not, let's say, like 3 years? Like, give us a sense of what is that your head telling you and your experience telling you.
Okay, Nilesh, first of all, thanks for having me here. So you asked 2 questions. Let me start with the residential business segment to start with. And if I look at pre-COVID, right, to me, I think industry was still having a challenge. Sales velocity was still a challenge. Now, what COVID has done, COVID has actually accelerated that problem. To me, it is hitting developers in 3 different ways because there are 3 different shifts. One, I would say, is an economic shift. There is a fear of job cut and pay cuts. In some cases, it's even a reality. Now, it again hits developer in again 3 different ways. One, probably I'll postpone my purchase. Second, I have a risk of probably not making a payment in time, which again hits my cash flow.
Makes sense.
And third, there is a risk of cancellation as well, so which means there's a sales protection issue. Now with this, it means the economic challenge which COVID has given is needing the developer to engage now for the short term and long term to create a very strong customer engagement programs. If they do not do that, I think that's the stickiness and that relationship will get weaker. That's the first impact. Second, I would say is a behavioral shift, and that's going to last for longer, according to me. Now, what do I mean by behavior shift? To me, I think I would say that COVID has actually taught the importance of home. Now, actually, we are 4 month mature in COVID now, if I may say so.
Yeah.
We all lived that 4-month journey, right? Now, everybody probably is needing probably a bigger space. I need 100 square feet extra for work from home or for a maid, or I probably need a better security or for online school and so on and so forth. So suddenly the importance of home, because I'm living here, and the need of probably a bigger space and a bigger amenity, which means that probably for developments which are A-class development will have a far more demand. So I see that behavior shifting in the direction. I also see probably in the last 3 months work with so many developers, I see a very definite intent coming from NRI market. Obviously, there is a sense of probably dollar-rupee equation, home coming back, a lot of turmoil in the global crisis, right? And that is also putting an impact back. Can I actually can I work with those market? And that's where probably a lot of developers are now kind of ramping up, resilient enough to say, मैं उस market को कैसे cater करूं? How do I scale up to the market which I'm not catered to? There are only very few developers who've done master that art, if I may say so. So that's a very big behavioral shift I'm finding from a product mix or a customer mix. And that's what probably the developers need to look in the next 1 to 3 years. I will not say even 3 years. A long-term thing, the segmentation, the demographic and the psychographic profiling of the customer. Who is going to buy? I don't think, while we have moved very clearly from a seller's market to buyer's market in the past few years, it's extremely important that I really understand my customer. Now, the concepts of data enrichment and being present and understanding the consumer psyche and the behavior was never so much understood as it being understood now. So I would say behavior shift is a very key aspect which is going to last for a longer period of time.
No.
And the third challenge, which I would say is a social challenge. And that's where we all are being affected, like work from home, social distancing. And to me, a work from home is going to stay for a longer period of time. I'll clearly see our customers, let's say real estate developer customers or channel partners or employees. I think everybody will witness that. Now, what does it mean? It means that when you ask me what they need to, developers need to do, I would say it needs hyper digitization. As an employee, I should be able to do my transaction from wherever I want to. As a customer today, आज मैंने पैसा दिया, can my token payment, can my KYC, my registration, my KYC documentation, all can be made online? These are some becoming a very basic requirement. Now even Maharashtra doing an e-registration, right? So essentially what is happening is, how do I kind of hyper digitize my entire stakeholder journey? Be it my channel partner, be it my employees, be it my customer. So I would necessarily say these three are shifts which are going to reshape and make developers reimagine their journeys to make them equipped for the next 3 years. So that's largely in the residential segment, as I would say. And I would tend to believe that, again, residential, honestly, your question was too loaded because there are too many segments to talk about.
Yeah.
But residential also has probably a luxury segment and probably a medium luxury and affordable segment. I would say all are getting impacted in a very different manner because, as I talked about, behavior. And obviously the malls and the commercial are also having a different impact. So,
but in the residential side, if I pick your point, the top two, the luxury segment and let's say the mid luxury or the mid tier, so that segment you're saying, and what I hear is not going to see much of an impact because people are now, and I'll just kind of pick from Manish's point that the expectations will increase. People are wanting to maybe have bigger homes, right, to fit their sort of the new work / home requirements kind of a thing. But I really want to sort of really like the point of the whole behavioral shift and how and the customer engagement part. That's interesting point, because it looks like, at least for the short duration, if not for a longer time, people are going to take more time to make a purchase, is what I'm just, if I heard that, which basically means, if it's like, if you have to go and apply in a US university, I'm just taking an example, and a lot of people do that. There's so much research which goes on in the mind of a student, right? They will go, this university, they'll say which are the top 10, and it's like a mind-boggling exercise. Yeah. So something like that is going to happen, which is very important, which means that the developer community has to really build that engagement, right? And B, which actually is a second interesting point, is this whole psychology and of the customer and their respective needs. So the focus will be not just saying this is a 2 BHK property and I'm just making it too simpler here, or 3 BHK. It's going to be more, more family composition, where they are in the stage of their life, like, are they young adults, or I don't know. I mean, so that's very interesting, and I'm not sure if I've ever heard, or I mean, you've heard it, but anybody sort of go down and implement that sort of a point. So so let me just switch gears for a moment and bring in Pratik in here, and I'll come back to the question I had on the future, but this is kind of interesting on the customer acquisition side, so I wanted him to sort of come in. So Pratik, if these 2 points we consider, and since you help market and you take some part of the customer journey in your business for for developers, so tell us more about what have you seen as a result of the last 4 or 5 months of changes which has gone in, to sort of say, okay, look, these are the 3 things which have changed, and these are the 3 things which builders are ready to do now or already started doing it, right? So what are those points? Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. So Nilesh, if you ask me, I think each one of us would agree to one thing for sure. Real estate is an orthodox operation business. There is nothing changed for decades. I think it had to change in the previous decade, but it's taken too long, because as real estate developers, I think everybody is very orthodox in their thinking. They don't want to change, right? This pandemic has done what? It has just knocked on your door and told everybody that change now. It was supposed to be done yesterday, but you have the time to do it now. What's important today is to create a journey for the customer. I mean, most of the developers are still, using Excels or Sheets. They don't go use CRMs, but today you need them. Why? For team management, because your team is not in the office. So now you are adapting to things, right? Most of the developers were very aloof of the fact that, we need virtual visits. What will a virtual visit do? You can't buy a house without seeing a house. But today you realize, no, it's important. So there are a lot of changes that even the developers have seen. The big developers, the big players always had a system that they were using. But again, were they using it to the 100%? I don't think so. This is a time when I think we need to change. We need to walk out and we need to make that whole user journey more interactive. It has to be more virtual. We need to bring in convenience to the customers, right? We need to show them the project, show them every part of your project from the comfort of their homes. And it's possible. It's not that it's not possible. There are wide.
I mean, it's like we are talking, all of us are doing this virtual event. I mean, it's absolutely, it was possible earlier. It was just not, nobody told us to do it, but now we are forced to sort of do it, right? So, but 2 points, right? I mean, I want to pick from what you said. So one is, one you said is the whole angle of developers themselves working remotely, like their sales setup and the people who are helping the customers make a choice, right? So that's one. And second is the whole idea of making the whole virtual tour concept go live so that people can experience the homes and the property from their home. But eventually people will have to visit to sort of do things. So 2 questions, right? One, when these technologies are adopted, and so what is the adoption cycle, right? I mean, are people adopting fast from what number one? Number two, what are the benefits they see in that? Like if you adopt certain technology pieces, what are the benefits, right? In benefits that are being observed. And the last point, which I'd like to pick from Chaitanya's question is there a concept of that behavioral psychology being observed in the way developers are either marketing or building the product? I mean, so obviously whatever is there, right? You have to sell the stuff, right? So you cannot change that. But if I have to now create a new project, right, will that change? So there are 2-3 questions there. So maybe we'll first start with the benefits, what you're seeing, and people, are they willing to change? We can address that, and maybe then we can move to the second one. And the second one is very interesting for me, and we can probably go one more round down, and anybody has a point, you can please jump in.
Sure. So first things first, I would like to say, what are the advantages? If you ask me, well, there are a huge number of advantages. You need to understand one thing. As a developer, okay, what does a developer have to do? First, find an audience that he needs to cater to through marketing, right? Then nurture that audience and make sure that that audience is interested in the project. Bring him to the site, show them the project, close the deal, and then finally go ahead. It's a huge cycle. See, it's the biggest decision of a person's life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So it's a huge cycle, and it's the most expensive purchase that anybody does, right? So it's a huge cycle. Now, what happens with technology today is, with digital, you can reach out to your audiences very well. You can engage with them digitally. That is one of the most important things that comes to you. Second, by bringing virtual tours, what you do is you create convenience for the customer. Earlier, if you would have gone buying, you would have removed 4 Sundays from a month to just go shopping for house.
Yeah.
Today, if you have it virtually available, you can do it in one day. You can see all the projects that you like. Shortlist the property virtually. I don't still agree that a person will buy a house virtually. He might give you an EOI, but ideally he wants to see. He can shortlist it virtually.
Correct.
Right? That is what happens. And with this, one thing that definitely happens is your conversion ratios improve. Earlier, you were giving 10% visits. Now you can reach out to 40% people. You can reach out to people. I think Chaitanya just said NRI is a market which people are not being able to tap. That's because you can't show a property to an NRI. Today, if you can show it virtually, you can show it to anybody, anywhere in the world. I mean, anybody can see a property and take a decision on that. Second bit, I would also say the advantage is when it comes to reporting and sales management. It's very important to have your sales team use the right CRMs, have the right reporting systems, rather than micromanage every lead. What needs to change, and what has changed now, is macromanaging and looking at the big data, looking at the conversion ratios, right? So all of these things have happened. Developers have changed. Developers have brought in professional agencies on board today so that they can manage these marketing and sales structures for them and give them the support and give them the solutions to the problems that they're facing.
So yeah, so and I wanted to sort of get that benefit data out of you, if you can share. So you said that earlier people have to go like 4 Sundays, and maybe it takes more time in some cases, right? So, and that cycle has shrunk to maybe 1 or 2 or maybe fewer visits. So Are there any data points which you have seen?
Definitely.
Which is, earlier it was this, today it is this.
So I will give you very simple, as per my experience in the last, I wouldn't say last 4 months, we've been already doing this for the last 6 months. So I'll just give you very simple analysis, what we have been seeing. Out of 1,000 leads that we bring out, okay, approximately 100 used to come. That's 10% people used to come to my site to see my project.
Okay.
Today I reach out to 40% of them because virtually I'm showing it to them at the convenience of their houses. Secondly, people who used to come to my site used to take at least 4 visits, minimum, average 3 to 4 visits to close a deal. Today that happens in the second visit. At most of the times it happens in the first visit because he's already seen everything. But at the match it will happen in the second visit. So my number of visits have come down. But if you ask me the turnaround time, that must have gone up a little because of the current uncertainty in the market. Nothing else.
Got it. So let me. I want to bring Ashish for a point of view here, and then Manish, I'd like to, if you have a point of view, and Chaitanya, if you have a point of view, to kind of come in. So basically, what Pratik mentioned is that, look, the customer is not going to come to you 4 times, is not going to visit in all properties. There's a process of shortlisting, meaning I've got 100 properties out there. I'm going to, in my sort of my head, or and I'm going to shortlist 4, 5, maybe 7, 10 to kind of go after and do deeper research, right? What does it mean for the intermediaries like the real estate tech players and for the builders themselves to kind of get into that shortlist, right? If you're not in the shortlist, anywhere you're out, isn't it? So what does it mean, right? And what are you? So for example, if you're, do you pay more to the housing.coms of the world to kind of get your listing up? Like, what is going on, Ashish? Can you give us a quick like your side of the story? What do you know? And then Manish, I want to come to you and then get your perspective as well.
Sure. Hi everyone. Good to be here. Let me try and answer 2 aspects here. One is the business side of it, and the other is all the technology part of it. So March 24th, when the lockdown happened, all of us were taken aback. What's in store for us? And like earlier mentioned, that real estate has had its own ups and downs, and many of them over the last decade. Okay, so first week was really, really bad for firms like us, which are into advertising and marketing for properties for developers. However, during April, the reality started to set in. See, me, like many of you, have gone through the 2008 financial crisis. Okay, so I was writing a note for a leading developer, that why the next 2 years are likely to pan out really well and in favor of residential real estate. Just looking at the 2 decades of history of Indian real estate, where data is very difficult to find. However, whatever limited data is there, that points towards better days ahead for residential segment. So I was very convinced while April is going to be washout, I don't know whenever the cycle resumes, as long as people like me and many of our clients are able to stand through this period, it is going to become favorable. And this is what is happening, Pratik and Manish, who are actively managing and looking at their portfolios. I can confirm that July and June both have been stellar months for the leading developers of this country. Okay. Chaitanya's point, I can validate. NRIs who were sitting overseas are either being tapped online, but many of them had to return. Some of the markets which for the last 2 years would not have seen any movement have seen great movement in the last 1.5 months, because people are sitting here in India and unlikely to return in any near term. So interest rates, all these other dynamics, that people will want their own home. In fact, one trend that no one is talking about, I have never seen my society having vacant flats in Bangalore. Over the last 1-2 months, I am seeing more and more posts for vacant flats. So people who are not from Bangalore are returning to their hometowns. And I was arguing with someone that many of the Bombayites who are actually from Delhi now need not get into a Bombay-Delhi debate. They may go back to Gurgaon and say that I am going to get a much more lavish flat in Gurgaon and I need not be in office in Bombay in the near future.
So Gurgaon is not cheap, yeah. What?
So these things are going to play out, and I don't know how they will, but I can confirm many are already playing out. I don't know whether it will sustain over the 6 months. I'll give you one example. In Gurgaon, one of our clients has had tough times in the last 1 year. What has happened after June is that Delhi has seen an upsurge in COVID cases, unlike, not coming down so easily. So Delhi being a congested city with high density and all, Gurgaon is just next door. So many of the people who are delaying that move have actually accelerated that move of looking for a property in Gurgaon. So these many dynamics are playing out in the residential side. Commercial is a different story altogether. Hospitality is a very different story altogether. Now coming to the technology part of it. Okay. So many of the clients who we work, some of the clients are really good in use of technology, CRMs. They have done right configurations. They've done right integrations with various other tools which are available. They've done the right integrations with people like us who are supplying inquiries to them on a regular basis. However, there are certain set of clients who may have a system but haven't really paid attention to it till now. So they are now, that also is speeding up. So they are looking at the systems as providing benefits and not a liability that every year I have to now clear one check to keep this thing running. So usage of technology is definitely going to go up. We look at more at the sales and marketing part of it. So there, another thing is that
will it be? Now, let me.
Digital marketing are talking of digital marketing now.
So sorry to interrupt, but just one question. So, will it be suicidal for them? When I say suicidal, obviously that's maybe more on the far side. But will they lose a sale?
Yeah, definitely.
If they don't use it.
See, in a city like Bombay, where free movement is still restricted to a large extent, if you're not able to reach his mobile or his desktop with an advertisement, how do you even entice him? And then comes the other steps. If you're not able to reach him, not able to contact him, not able to get him a virtual visit, etc.
That is no more an option.
So that you can't be a developer, you can't be in any business where you are not able to reach a person on his mobile now. So
got it. And so the builder has no choice but to do that.
No option. Yes. And this is just the first leg, and then within your organization, many other processes need to be more. I can confirm here also another thing, that there are certain set of our clients who are still not clearing invoices which have been sent electronically. But I have no other option. I can't courier. So
yeah, that's a huge relief, man. I mean, I'm telling you, that's a huge relief. I can tell you, people you follow up 30 days and they'll say, send me a paper invoice.
I would at some point reconsider whether I have to continue working with these tough processes or not. So
interesting. Let me pause you here quickly and get Chaitanya in, because I think you pointed about the future, and I think there was a question which remained there. And Chaitanya, that's one point I wanted to sort of get your view on as to how you see the future of this evolving. It looks like Ashish, from his perspective, it is only going to get better, or rather much rosier, if I may say. A and B, I think as we and Pratik alluded to it, and Manish also mentioned about it. And Manish, that'll be the next question to you, and have Chaitanya, I want his perspective, and then come to you. So, the process is getting online, right? Let's just say that's all visible. So one is, Chaitanya, the question on the future, and second for you is, what does it mean for the reps, the salespeople? Like, what changes do we bring into them? Like, what are the developers thinking about those guys? Like, there were a certain type of people earlier. There have to be different people now for the new sort of setup. So what are you hearing? What are you advising? And what's is going to pan out like? Like, if you can sort of get some perspective there.
Sure. So I think a very valid question, and let me just reflect back in terms of what is being said by Ashish and Pratik. One thing is that digital is not an option anymore. You have to live the digital world, and which means that it's not only about having a website. कि मैं website लगा दिया, काम हो गया. It is not merely a publishing engine. Correct. It has to be conversational, experiential, and engaging in nature. Same thing applies. It's not that मैंने एक Zoom call कर लिया and showed a digital presentation, the job is done. So it means two things. One, my digital investment has to be seen in a light in terms of the way it would have happened in the physical environment. Obviously, I think it's talked about is a matter of convenience and choices which are being made available. So which means that as an organization, I would need to invest that in the form of future, because the demand is only going to increase. I think very well valid. The demand will come from different sections of society, different cities of different cities of India, but the demand is only going to be there. There's no doubt in that mind. The housing for everyone, be from affordable to luxury, I think demand is going to be there. So I don't think there's a doubt in that mind.
Okay.
How developers will respond to those asset classes is yet to be seen. How will they really be resilient and create efficient mechanism of reaching out to those? That's still to be understood. So that's the point number one. Point number two is what you asked in terms of very relevant, the organizational workforce. So pre-COVID, a customer used to walk in, there used to be a good ambience experience, a good reception, rest. There's a salesperson there.
The roses coming on your way.
A lot of jazz around, right?
Yeah.
Now the person used to get awed many a times. Now what happens in this environment is that it's extremely important that as a salesperson, it is more important how do I engage the customer in the conversation. How much I know about my customer so I can have a relevant conversation with them. And thanks to technology, आज की date में what probably you can show in a physical environment through virtual reality or AR, you can actually replicate that. And not only that, you can actually also co-work with the client and also understand the backend. Acha, customer is spending more time in the balcony or probably spending more time in the kitchen. I can actually look at the analytics and go back and say, I think this is what you're trying to do. You can actually work in creating a home along with that. So point which I'm trying to drive is there has to be a modernization of the workforce.
Got it.
The workforce has to get skilled on the soft skills and digital skills altogether. Yeah, absolutely.
So basically, so I 2 points. So one is you said, look, the demand is going to come in, so don't worry about that. That's going to happen. Yeah. It's going to come, and it looks like that's what I'm hearing from everyone here. And the second piece, which is also very important, is that look, if the demand is going to come and it is going to come from a new channel or new communication method, it needs a different skills. So we have to work on the reps. The developer has to make those investments to upskill people, and maybe other agency partners who are working with developers to kind of create those new skills. So Manish, are you seeing some shift on your side? Are you all making any moves on that side, or you're training your people to do better digital conversations, run better video calls? Any tools type you are sort of using? The data analysis piece is very interesting, that the customer is spending more time in kitchen, then they are more keen there, sort of a thing. So what are you thinking and doing and have seen in your business and other businesses in where you have insights on?
See, so to be very honest, my take, it's like, I'm an IT enthusiast. I love all this digital era and everything, right? Now, the question comes like, do people need to learn or do customer need to learn? I'll be happy to say nobody need to taught anyone how to use Facebook. They did it on their own. Nobody need to taught anyone how to use WhatsApp. And these are like the platforms which are driving everything today, right? So for me, I like the space I am in, and like what I said, I love this, industry. I love everything about it. But if you see this industry highly lacks in, digital platform and how to go in digital and then this and that in comparison to FMCG and rest of the industry. Right? So I really recommend all real estate people to create their digital assets. Don't think about it as a spend, because till now marketing has been always considered as a spend. However, when digital comes in picture, it's not a spend, it's an investment. It's the same asset which you build once and you have no idea for how many times people are going to look at it, right? And that's where, so nowadays, because of digital, what do we do today is this: we go back, let's say Java story. Everybody goes back and check, okay, which bike was which year, how does it look like? Nobody's getting that bike. They'll still buying these 3 bikes, right? But the story sells. And your story is very visible, very vocal on digital. Now, the only reservation in digital, it's like for us marketing people, it's very important, the physical evidence of the product. The touch, look, feel. I mean, these things are important. I understand that may come in a later stage, but in a prior stage, you can always deliver that experience to the client. So this process called discovery. Let them see, let them have a look, let them make their mind. I mean, it's not necessary. If I look at, if I'm checking out a hotel room, I may not like it, but that doesn't mean if I'm not buying today, I may not buy tomorrow. And that's where the brand building exercise comes in. More they see about you, more they read about you, more they start trusting you.
But there's a point, right? And I think, see, brand sells, no doubt, right? I mean, they're good builders, have a history of good stuff, will definitely have advantage. But look, the salesperson has a role to play, right? If person is on the edge, right, of choosing between the two options, they push the person to one side, right? And so to that extent, the experience you have with a salesperson, will help you, win more business in the market, right? So, and in the digital age, what is that salesperson going to look like? Like, what are the skills they need to have?
So, Nilesh, to be very honest, again, I'll come back to the same point. Nowadays, all the sales guys, what do I have seen in my experience? They are tech savvy. Now, let's assume the tool we brought in, how there is a API for WhatsApp, your LS is connected to your WhatsApp and everything is happening. Sales guys are very happy. They have their assets ready. They don't need to dig into anything. They know, okay, these are the picture, there's the brochure which I have to send, and everything is available at one click, right? So for me, the experience has been amazing. And to be very honest, real estate people might have been thinking to implement all this in 2025. Thanks to Corona, we are doing it today.
Got it.
After 25, if I would have invested another 2 years to make these guys smart, by 2022, my guys will any which ways be smart. So I'm still 5 years ahead. So I look at it from that perspective, that.
No, I think you made a valid point, and I think, see, if everybody is already tech savvy, right? I mean, then that ability to really teach them that, boss, this is how you have to conduct. You don't have to really do that. They sort of already know, the basics of how to sort of go forward and interact and basically talk to the customer. So that's interesting. And so to that extent, you don't have to really spend tons of money in upskilling people. Then is that true? Or
I would rather say here marketing plays a very important role. How to create the right set of content for the sales team. The marketing content has to be strong enough that when the sales guys are sitting in front of a client, let's say if they are doing a first round of conference or a video call or something like that, the client should ask them question, not the sales guy push the information. So for us, the approach is that your marketing has to be that strong. The client will say, okay, I saw this. Now you help me out to sort these query of mine.
And so when your reps are talking to the customer, do they have the property in the background, like that background thing, is getting very, very popular now on Zoom? Do they do that, or like how do they work?
So basically, all the calls are appointment only, and the salesperson is taking the call is always in the show apartment.
Do you record those calls and analyze what reps are doing?
So yes, these calls, basically we can't record all the calls, and to be very honest, when client is on the other side without informing them, we can't take all the calls on record. Ethically, it's not right. But for some of the clients which are sales guys are good in relation with, they say for the testing purpose we'll be recording the call. Please allow us. That happens, and undoubtedly yes, we will be looking forward for recording these calls. Reason being,
get some feedback on.
No, it's not only feedback. In future, it becomes original content for me. This is what my clients are talking to me. This is how the interaction goes. I look at it from that perspective. So let's assume tomorrow, if I have a new team joining in, I'll just say, watch these 10 videos. These are the best guys.
Got it.
I don't have a trainer standing on my head, and I can just, and if they are home, I can just send them, boss, read all this data, watch all the videos, and let's get to a discussion.
Basically, sales training is getting simpler. No, I've observed the same in some part of my business.
Yeah.
And obviously it's easier, right? But let me get Praneet in, and we've kept him quiet for a long time. But I wanted to get his point because it's kind of getting into the tech side. So Praneet, tell us what on top 3 things on the tech side your customers are asking you, because whatever they're asking is really what they need, right? If they're not asking about anything, they're not feeling the need. So what are the top 3-4 things they're saying? Look, I need this, I need this, I need this.
Yeah, absolutely, Nilesh. I think before we come to the technology part, just wanted to add on to Manish's point, because I think that will flow really well in the conversation.
Sure.
Essentially, what we are seeing is, since, and as Chaitanya mentioned, like digitization is not an option anymore, right? So you got to be digital, you got to be doing those virtual sales calls, because otherwise there's no business. right? So what we are seeing in talking to a lot of these developers is that like there is specialization in other verticals, right? For insurance, lending, you have a call center, then you have a field sales, right? What we are seeing is that there will be a call center which has always been there to for the first qualification. The second will be a virtual sales stage, right? Wherein, as Pratik was mentioning, you won't spend 4 Sundays anymore seeing 4 different properties, right? You'll do the first shortlisting on the first call itself, right? So that virtual sales will be like a specialized division. I don't think people, real estate developers, will be adding new Salesforce, but anyone who is like really talented at doing those virtual calls, they'll be pushed into a virtual call segment itself, because then that process becomes regimented, right? Rather than the person switching from a site to a virtual call, there can be specialized salespeople who just focus on delivering that experience on a virtual tour or a virtual call.
Well, I think the people with good voice will have a good chance now, right?
Indeed.
Yeah, certainly. And you don't have that advantage of body language, right, on a audio or a video call as much as you would have face to face, right? You can read, you can develop a rapport. So you got to go a lot on the instincts, what you're hearing, what you're seeing. So that's been like a big change, and we are seeing a few developers who are trying to specialize a few people to just do this virtual sales as like a department of sorts. Right. So that's been one thing, and there they need that enablement, right? So if you are doing Zoom calls, is your Zoom connected to your CRM, right? So that you can automatically track.
Yeah, LeadSquared's connected to Zoom very well, by the way, just so that I want to give that sales pitch for a moment.
You can thank me later, Nilesh.
Yeah.
So yes, all of those things, and then new metrics will come in, because this is a new stage that has been added, right? So if you look at the direct site visit conversion percentage, like the person visiting the site and then converting, that is going to be really high because only qualified people are coming, right? So what you really need to look is how many people took the virtual sales call and then the final conversion happened, right? So few of these things will change. You need to track all of this. What we're seeing is like, if the family comes on the sales call, the virtual sales call, the conversions are higher, right? So can you track that piece? Can you motivate customers to bring their family on the call so that they can also see the project, right? So these are a few things that we need to change. And I think from a digitization perspective, KYC tools, can you make the payment online? People are coming to us to build customer portals, right, wherein the customer journey or the booking journey can happen completely online. Once the virtual sales or one site visit has happened, you can see the inventory online, you can choose the flat, you can choose the cost sheet. The salesperson on the call can give a discount code, and it's like e-commerce. So you just buy the entire thing online.
Let me interrupt you for a moment. All I hear is revenue for my business.
we all are in. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So let me get Chaitanya and Praneet. I'll pause you for a moment. So Chaitanya, as this is sort of panning out, right? This whole virtual piece which Praneet mentioned, do you see that coming up in your conversations with developers and the community? That's one question, and to what extent? And second is, does it also mean, look, I mean, all of us are very familiar with the whole call center concept, right? There's a process which you outsource. Does it also mean, and then I'll go to Ashish and Pratik for the follow-on question. We'll start with your input. Does it also mean that there will be specialized people and companies helping developers with this talent to solve that problem? Because look, developers are, if you put two people there, one guy leaves, you've lost 50% of the talent, right? I mean, and so what's your sort of take on that, and what are developers thinking about it?
So on the first question of virtual, I think it's given. Virtual conversations, virtual engagement tools are kind of a must-have. Now, I would only say the degree of experience which people are investing into is varying from developer to developer, project to project. But there is not a single developer, I'm seeing from smallest to probably the largest developer, are investing in digital technologies, be it a virtual engagement tools, which I think Manish talked about discovery. So I think those discovery tools can be either my digital digital tools from a content perspective on different platforms, or my websites, or my digital brochures or virtual tools. All those kind of are the conversations are pretty much on. People are learning to invest in it. And I'm talking promoters taking interest in this bit right now.
So,
Probably, I think that there's a shift which I'm finding in terms of marketing also becoming a far more strategic function than what earlier it was. I think that's the way I would kind of see it very clearly. So that's where I'm saying, and digital, virtual all go hand in hand. One more element which I think we have not talked about so far is data. The power of digital is it leaves footprint and creates a lot of data strands, which allows us to understand, analyze, and act in a far more efficient manner. And that work has been happening across for a lot of developers today. So today I can actually look at data and actually try and create a propensity model for the customers. I can create a model in terms of who are the people who may tend to cancel. I can create a model in which people who might prefer a bigger flat. So I think today the good part is basis so much of interaction and the data which is available, either from social or whatever it is, it allows us to create that. So I think that's the bit on the virtual bit of it or the digital bit of it. The second bit you asked on the call center bit. I think insourcing. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I think the whole. See, there are various parts of the process before a purchase is being made, right? So,
yeah.
But one process is really undergoing, one or two processes are really undergoing a huge transformation.
Yes.
So the developer has a choice whether I do it in-house or I work with partners. So
correct.
So yeah.
So I think the big shift. So I think that insourcing versus outsourcing debate has been happening for quite a bit. Now, I think with the pressure which people are having and the kind of agencies which are available outside, people are actually looking at variable models. The good part is, ये cost में in-house छोड़ के क्या मैं variabilize कर सकता हूँ. Lot of people who are having call center expertise, feet on street expertise, channel partner hosting expertise. So depending on what the developer may want or may not want, I think marketing has been always given different agencies to work upon. Unfortunately, it's still seen as projectized, which I don't think is the best way to do it. But yeah, so I think that's one area. Similarly, for call center, a lot of companies have anyways decided to move on to the different agencies. Now I see the value which these other agencies can add is, one is the skill set and the talent, right from the soft skill, and second, I think their ability to look at these tools. अगर अपन देखेंगे आज की डेट में call center people call. Now that call actually, if the person has time and giving time, I can immediately convert that call into a virtual call.
Correct.
So can I actually skip that phase of sales manager? So basically, I'm trying to find a balance. Can I improve my qualification process or qualified lead percentage by engaging better? So
then let me get Pratik's and Ashish's view here, Chaitanya. I think the 2 points then. What is it in the context of what Chaitanya mentioned? What transformation does it bring into your respective businesses? Say you have been partners to these guys, real estate guys for a long time, right? What does this mean? Changing your business to sort of adopt to the reality and help and partner with your customers better, right? So what does it mean for you, and what questions are you getting from your developer partners in this context?
Should I take this?
Yeah.
So Nilesh, if you ask me exactly what Chaitanya said right now, predominantly, if you notice, developers hire professionals for all fields, whether it's architects, whether it's licensing, whether it's legal, whether it's financial consultants, n number of things, right? The only place that they do not hire professionals is for marketing and sales. That is going to change.
Okay.
Like what Chaitanya said, outsourcing is a debate. That's a really strong debate that's going on because a developer wants to outsource his marketing and sales to professionals who can cater to it. Like what I think each one of us was speaking, that the qualification process, showing the virtual visit, giving that virtual reality experience through a call center, that's exactly what's being done today. Rather than just speaking to a customer and giving him information on the phone, why not at that moment itself send him a link and show him the complete project, virtually, and qualify that lead better? See, he's anyway just going to give you 5 minutes, right? You rather take 10 minutes and give him a full intent call. It's like giving a demo on the first call. So that's what's happening, and all of this can only be managed by professionals, because you rightly said, if a developer hires 4 people, trains them to do this, and 2 people leave, his capacity is down to 50%. But a professional agency might have a bank of people who have already been trained to do this in and out, right? So they can always keep switching projects depending on the volume of the leads.
Got it.
So yes,
Got it.
that is a very big shift that is happening. Yeah, please go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, so I just want to get Ashish's point of view here. And Ashish, how this changes your business and what are you hearing?
No, so it's very, very important to be, like we are into marketing. Okay, so we have to keep telling people that marketing is very important. At this point in time, when hoarding business shut, newspapers are shut, what do? And you have to carry the right message. Just don't keep copying your competitor. Okay, and this is a time to actually stand out, because most of the competition is actually not there. I can tell you from my example, the data that we are seeing in advertising, the advertising cost is down by 50%. It has started to come up, but it is nowhere close to January, February of 2020. And someone said earlier, the intent of the customer is very different now. I can also, we've done some data analysis on some of the inquiries and the feedback that we got. Prior to March, I can consider most of the inquiries prior to March have actually dropped off. However, people who have risen out of COVID, April, May onwards, the quality of inquiries and the seriousness is very high. Thereby, the conversations you get to do with these clients or potential clients are much longer, much meaningful. Hence, come whatever you have to do, technology intervention, human intervention, you have to be really swift. Or the guys who are in the market doing similar things or better things than you, they'll take away the plan.
I think I'll agree with you on one point, that boss, the online buyer is very serious, because yesterday only I paid 40 rupees to Swiggy for delivery, which they were not charging earlier. So so आज जो भी आ रहा है मार्केट में, वो उसको पैसा देना है, मतलब उसकी I won't say majburi is the right word, but he will not run away if you charge him 30 rupees for delivery or 40 rupees for delivery. So I think
people probably pay to pay for convenience
people
now.
Are valuing convenience.
Exactly. So I think that's a huge point you mentioned. So we have only a few minutes left before we go into the Q&A, and I'd like starting from Manish, if you can just give 30 seconds closing comment on today's conversation for the audience, and then Pratik, Ashish, Chaitanya, and Praneet, if you can follow.
See, we have a very intense discussion on what to do, what not to do, and to be very honest, I don't see market going down. It's just a small phase, and we all will overcome. And undoubtedly, because of this, the whole market will advance itself more. Let's all our partners, say channel partners, LeadSquared, everybody have to up their game. And at the end of the day, consumer is one who is going to get benefited. So our whole effort and our whole thought, it's to make consumer life better. And how we discuss, like, it's okay. At the end of the day, you paid 40 rupees. The convenience does matter to you. So it does matter in every product, everywhere. The only thing is we have to just make customers' life easy, and they are there. I mean, the business is still there for us.
Got it. Pratik?
For me, I would just say, see, we all know, right? Change is the only constant, and this is the time that we have received to change ourselves. We need to change. We need to adapt. We need to digitize now.
We don't have to wait for 31st December to make that promise.
Exactly. Now, that's the only promise that we have to make. We have to digitize. That's all.
Ashish?
Yeah. So again, as I started, there are two parts to my response here. The business part of it, business seems to be stabilizing. Okay, it is good. It is likely to remain so for at least 1-2 years. I don't know if there is anyone in the crowd who is looking for this answer. I don't know whether prices will go up or not, but definitely the inventory overhang may come down because launches are less and demand is more. So some of this inventory is going to get consumed. Developers need to finish the project. Otherwise, customers are less and lesser as we go along. So the business part of it. Definitely. The large organized players will be the only successful ones at launches and all. And they're very aggressive right now. You can't be not aggressive. The technology adoption cannot be left for future, as many of us have pointed it out. Based on every business of every size and shape needs to figure out that anything they adopt, the right technology, whatever cost they are paying for it, the returns that they are going to get from it
is going to be multifold.
And for my business, I can say digital advertising, you can't say no to it. It can't be a cost all the time. It is an enabler.
Got it. Chaitanya?
So I would say the time is to act and act now. And I can clearly say digital can make the business far more profitable. And I think that needs to be seen as far more as an investment and not as a cost. I think the moment we start looking at that and make appropriate changes within the organization, modernize that, look in the future, look at the customer, focus on the customer engagement experience, I think it will have the developers who are able to do that will sustain for a longer period of time.
So they'll come out faster. Yep,
absolutely.
Praneet?
Yeah, very similar thought. So essentially, the time is
now.
The bad time has. It seems like the bad time has passed on. It seems like, and things are only looking up with demand coming up. So yeah, I mean, upgrade yourselves. The time is now
buy
to
LeadSquared.
Buy LeadSquared. Yeah. Awesome.
No, good. No. I think I think I'll just summarize. I think so. Look, the future is bright for residential real estate. If right, absolutely. Consumer behavior has shifted, so people have to adopt, and people are already making those changes. And the digital is the new name in the game. It was already a big name outside real estate industry, but it is going to make it's getting good inroads in the industry. And so that people who are not going to adopt will be left behind, or at least won't have as profitable business as probably their other competitors. So with that, I'll just thank you all for joining, and just take a few second pause and look at the questions which have come in, and see what all people are asking. If there are questions for us, let me pull that up, and then if there is any question here, wait a sec. Question to Chaitanya. I think is the real estate market is currently influenced by 4 demographic groups: millennials, baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Z. Some industries have already started to adjust work processes. How's real estate responding to it?
So I think it's a very loaded question, to be honest, because I think
I think you must simplify it and help.
So I think when you look at millennials and all the future consumers, what we'll find, right? So everybody has a different expectation of a product. Now, it's a point of view which I'm putting in here. I do expect a different segments having a different expectations. One, maybe a demand may happen in a co-living space as well, and second, may demand happen in residential business segment as well. Now, the developers need to address 2 things. One, look at the product design. I'm talking about the people who have not launched a project and talking about launching a future project. Need to keep that customer demographics, expectation, and behavior the centerpiece while they design the product.
This is
that's a fundamental key. So the asset class, the development category has to look and address to the consumer category which is going to be there. Point number 1. Point number 2, I think from a today's perspective, reaching out, I think the science is pretty simple. Chao baby boomers ho ya millennials ho, I think the age is digital to reach out to those people and make those engagements. I think that's the sum and substance of it. I don't know that I could answer that question, or there's any element which is left there.
No, I think this is a good summary of the question. I think it kind of addresses the core point. And I have another one, and Pratik, you may want to take a shot at that. I think it alludes to the question we talked. So does virtual property tour helps in sales conversion and reduce the sales cycle time? And if you can reiterate the experience you had.
Yeah, definitely. I would tell only by my experience. So if you ask me, in this whole lockdown, we've given more than 4,000 virtual visits in the various projects that we are.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Nice.
Yeah, that's because people are sitting at their homes and they want to explore a property, right? So that's the best way to do it, sitting at. But the advantage that I saw over here was out of 4,000 virtual visits that we gave, there were 800 people that have actually visited the project and we have closed more than 100 flats.
That's like 20% of conversion from.
Nice.
That's huge.
Exactly. So that's exactly what I'm trying. Because what happens is, see, when you see something, you don't need to imagine anymore, right? You all of a sudden realize that, okay, fine, this is what I'm going there for. The virtual experience removes that imagination factor from the customer's mind. You're actually showing him exactly what he's going to see on site. Pehle kya hota tha? Customer, sorry, I'm just taking 1 minute more.
Yeah, please.
Earlier, a customer used to come to the site to make a decision, to know more, to get more information. Now, with the help of a virtual visit, a customer gets all the information before he visits the site, and he comes to the site only if he's made the decision or he's shortlisted, as I say. Yep. So that's where I feel virtual visit really works well.
I'll give an example in software side. Earlier, we used to show presentation and close the sale. Now people want to look at the product.
Demo, right?
They have to look at the demo and then trial before they actually make a purchase. So yeah, very well said. Now the next question from Arun. Arun is asking, how can a real estate developer and brokers provide a better customer experience when people are unwilling to visit during the initial stages of the buying journey? I think some part of what Pratik has already covered, but Manish, you want to come quickly with a point on this. Based on your strategy at Kolte-Patil, and sort of respond to this question.
See, I would rather say AVs always help. I mean, now virtuals are also there. So more infographic you are, better it is. Likewise, Pratik said, don't leave them in a gray area where they need to imagine something. Give them a visual image. That's where their brain starts working. Okay, it suits my need or it doesn't suit my need. At the end of the day, as a developer, what I'm looking at, does this product fit you or it doesn't fit you? Those are the only two important things for me. And how client gonna understand? It's by looking at the picture, looking at the video, taking the tool.
Correct.
Right. So don't eradicate these three things from them. Give them more of that. They want to see it again and again. Let them see. More they see, chances are high they will come to you. Because likewise, Chaitanya said, if you're spending time in one particular property or a particular type of layout, your intent to buy that thing is more. And that data really help us to understand, it's okay, this person is spending time, let them spend time, don't disturb them. Finally, they want to go there. So we got to be smart in terms of our sales thing also. We need to interpret the data right, and we need to provide the right content for clients to be engaged with it. I'm not saying everybody has to go into the virtual tool tomorrow. You see, do you have the basic images and the videos in place? If you're confident about it, if you're seeing your ROI on the investment, do move on to virtuals.
Yeah, I mean, I think nobody draw a parallel, but I'd like to draw a parallel. People, house is an asset you buy with so much care and people, but matrimonial sites were there before. That's again a very thing which you are invested for the entire life, literally, right? But that went online a long back. But the houses guy did not go online that much before that. But anyway, there's one more question from Uday. Would there be a paradigm shift towards buying ready possession properties as compared to under construction? Chaitanya, what's your take on that?
So I think I would tend to agree. I think the today demand is more towards RTMI. People would prefer less risk and would prefer to go towards a ready possession property. I think that's where, obviously, I think as a developer, a lot of people would have a lot of under construction property. And that's where the trusted brand comes to play. If I'm a brand which can be trusted, am I transparent? Am I accessible? Am I available? If you can have those tenets and create that engagement, that's what is going to make people comfortable. Okay, मैं इस developer के साथ under construction property ले सकता हूँ. Obviously, people are coming with different financing schemes to the other customer. But yes, today the demand is high towards RTMI. But I would say it's more for a short-term phenomenon of, let's say, 18 months, where people are having a lot of doubts in their mind. But as the things will go by, the newer products will emerge. People will again go back to under construction property. Rather, I know the developers who had made a shift from only selling at the OCs received, again going back because that's the way they can push sales. So I think customers are open, but yeah, I do believe that in today's next 18 months, RTMI will have an edge over under construction property.
Got it. There's one question from Madan. Your inputs on people postponing their decisions on making a purchase in real estate, not just an investor, even an individual buyer. What should be workaround for this? Like, basically, the question is, if people are postponing their purchases, what what are the options available, tools available to the builders and the partners to sort of cut short that buying time and sort of bring people to the table faster. So what all have you seen, observed? Yeah, Pratik.
I think it's about a flexible payment plan. See, understand one thing, the problem today for everybody is the purchasing power has gone down. That's because of uncertainty, that's because of eating into your savings, maybe job salary cuts, XYZ. There are multiple reasons, right? Small business is not working. How do you empower the customer to buy in spite of him not having money in his pocket? By asking him to pay less. That's exactly what's been happening in auto industry. That's exactly what's been happening in consumer industry. You don't buy an iPhone for 1 lakh rupees anymore. You buy it for 6,000 rupees per month, right? So that's exactly what you need to do. That's exactly what you need to push to get that, sales done. That's what I think.
I'll just add to that. Obviously, absolutely what Pratik said is absolutely fair and relevant. One more thing, the role of the CRM team in the organization needs to grow manifold. Now, probably we need to work with the banks or the financial institutions and the customer and become a party to help him get an access to the funds. I think today getting a loan also is not a very easy or straightforward process. There are lots and lots of checks and balances. So how can you proactively work and be a trusted partner to your customer to help him close this gap in terms of that entire financial cash flow, if I may say so. But that's another thing which I clearly see working well for some of the developers, where they're taking a proactive step in terms of helping some of the queries of the fence setters.
Indeed, Chaitanya, it does really help. I mean, when you tell the client, it's okay, we are there for you. I mean, that just one thing sorts half of their problem. And likewise, you say CRM plays a very important role. They have to understand how many people are there in the pipeline. What is it that they can talk to the management? What is it that they can talk to the bank? Basically, it has become our responsibility now to make their life easy. And we know if their life is easy, it's business for us.
Absolutely.
It's a little bit of transactional thing which is going up and down, but looking into the market, whatever we are getting, it's fantastic. It's just like we have to take one extra mile. That one step solves everything.
True.
Awesome. I think we had a great session. No more questions. I think it was fun. Why don't we just, I want to just thank everyone, Praneet, Manish, Ashish, Chaitanya, Pratik. Thank you so much for joining and making this a live session, a lively session. I'm sure we'll do more of this in future. I would love to have you join some of those panels and share your knowledge and experience. So at this point, I'd basically go back in the social lounge, and maybe you all can spend as much as whatever time you have left for today's today's time, and talk to participants who are there, and from there we can basically exit the session. So thank you so much for coming in and joining the session. Shivani, thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure meeting you all.
Shivani, Zed, can you bring us to the social lounge?